which is now. What's happening, everybody? It's time for MLB Live Before Lock, and a little bit of a smaller slate tonight, just a 4-gamer, and it's locking a little bit earlier. Good thing is there's not some sort of like insane nonsense like yesterday where DraftKings and FanDuel are locking, like an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and 20 minutes apart, which super annoying for scheduling because there's really no way to properly appease everybody in that kind of situation. But good news, we've got both slates locking at 6:45 p.m. Eastern time today, so 45 minutes from now. It's a 4-game slate, and we should have time to answer any and all questions you guys have. So if you are a Stokastic sub and you're on our Discord channel, hit me up over the course of the show. Be on the lookout for any of those questions. And then also, if you're watching in YouTube, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. But also, if you got a super chat for us, let us know. We'll be looking at those as well. Eric, what's happening today, man?
Yeah, not much. We ended up working through it yesterday. Did the FanDuel section first, covered DK after. But that was really, really annoying. It's a small slate today. I just enjoy that most things are locking right at this 6:45 p.m. Eastern time slot. So we'll be able to cover game 2 here of Atlanta Philly and then kind of go along with our night. I just built out stuff in the Sims, and there's one team from that first game that appears I'm just going to be jamming. So that's fun.
I'm trying to figure out, there's all kinds of new symbols and things going on YouTube. I've never seen these before. Do you know what these are?
Yeah, so Josh posted that this morning, said that there's like rankings, and it's Twitchified, if you will. It seems as though there's going to be like leaderboards and top 3 contributors and a bunch of other stuff. So I saw there was like a message that I didn't click on earlier that was on X explaining some of it, but guess we're going to all figure it out together.
All right. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, because like some people have got stuff, other people don't have stuff. But anyway, yeah, community leaderboard here. All right. So I'm sure this is probably based on a pretty small sample size here, but community leaderboard right now, Jay Nevy is in first. We got Mubi02 in second, CTM010. He's in third right now. How these things are measured, I don't know, but those are the rankings that you guys currently have. So apparently, share your opinions in chat. Engage with each other, and that'll help your ranking, I guess. Maybe we'll find something else we could do with some of these rankings. But shout out also to Kurt R12. He says he won the MLB dollar contest last night, the 150 max.
Let's go.
Shout out to Kurt. Shout out to Kurt. Always love to see when you guys win. Don't forget, if you are playing, which this should be all of you playing DFS on DraftKings FanDuel or any other site. If you are playing DFS, play with the Stokastic avatar, because if you do have a big GPP win, or you just come in third in any contest that has more than 5,000 entries, send it to us. Tweet at us at the Stokastic HOF Twitter account, because you can get yourself into the Hall of Fame, get yourself a free sub to the site. We'll also, shout you out on content, things like that. So there is no downside to having the Stokastic avatar, but there is some upside. So take advantage of the Stokastic Hall of Fame program. Eric, we are going to, we've got plenty of time to work through the slate here with just, 4 games. We got 8 pitchers, 8 offenses to talk about. Do you have any kind of general overall thoughts on the slate before we get into the individual pitchers?
Yeah, I wish we could book a couple of these pitchers for a future slate, like tomorrow or Saturday or something of that nature, because it feels a little wasted to have 3 quality pitchers like this on the same damn slate, where it's just really hard to make a case for getting away from at least one of them in every single lineup, or if not 2 in every single lineup. And it kind of makes it interesting to figure out exactly how we want to play leverage here. Because, I think we'd probably both agree Mackenzie Gore, probably the most unproven of those 3 that exist there, but I don't love Seattle and I don't love the ballpark. And Chris Sale, Zach Wheeler, they both have offenses backing them that we can potentially get leverage with going up against them. So we're trying to find one stack amongst those 3 that we can really latch onto. And I think the Sims have latched onto one of them, and then kind of mixing and matching other stacks. So it's a very interesting game theory slate, to say the least.
So let's start to talk about these pitchers that we have going tonight. And it begins at the top end with Zach Wheeler. We'll talk about him kind of in a tier of his own. I guess we could talk about all these pitchers as individual entities, considering that, we got the flexibility with just the limited amount of spots here to talk about everything in a little bit more detail than usual. Zach Wheeler, 10-5. We've got him projected for 48% ownership. So 3 pitchers super popular on the slate, which you would hit on. It's Zach Wheeler, Mackenzie Gore, Chris Sale. There's other guy like Barrios is 19% owned. Baz is fourth. So I don't want to make it seem like there's 0% ownership going to these other pitchers, but it's kind of only 3 pitchers that are pulling meaningful ownership relative to the slate. So Zach Wheeler, is he somebody you want to be at the field, underweight to the field, overweight to the field? How are you approaching Zach Wheeler tonight?
So this is the funny part about all 3 of them. I'm slightly underweight to every single one, and yet I'm north of 40% on every single one. I can't remember a slate that existed that was quite like this, but it's where the Sims tool is kind of driving me in the direction of, and I kind of agree with it. I mean, 50% ownership on Wheeler, 43% of him is what I have, and I think that that's just fine. But, when we look at some of the stacks that I want to get, I think there's just so much leverage to be had by getting to a Philly or Atlanta, by getting to a Seattle, by getting to some of these other teams that I look at just what's popping up naturally in my top 150. I'm going to trim it down to 40 lineups that I'm playing today, but I'd be hard pressed to say that I have a case to go way above on one of the 3. It looks as though I'm going to be flat in that 40 to 48% range on every single one.
Yeah, so I do have a favorite of the pay up options, and at least like relative to their ownership, so in my lineup shakeout, Zach Wheeler of the pay up options is the one I get the least of. So between Wheeler, Mackenzie Gore, Chris Sale, it is the least of Zach Wheeler for myself. He's been really, really good this year. He is, in my opinion, should be second in the Cy Young odds behind only Paul Skeens. I know if you guys pay attention to Eric's Discord, I posted not all that long ago that I bet Zach Wheeler for Cy Young. So I have Zach Wheeler. I think it's 16-1, 11-1, and plus 850 to win Cy Young this year. And so it's not that I hate him or anything like that, but we don't have that many spots to go to for value today. And he's quite a bit more expensive than all the other pitchers on the slate. So I think that more so than anything is what's driving down his exposure to me in the Sims, because Gore, Sale, and Wheeler, they're all projecting pretty comparably. You could see that as well in our top pitchers tool, where we actually do have Zach Wheeler with a slightly better chance to be a top 2 scoring pitcher compared to the other ones, where we got 42.4% chance to Wheeler, 39.8% to Gore, 41.5% to Chris Sale. But, this is pretty marginal difference between the 3. And when Sale is so much more Sale is so much less expensive than Wheeler, a $1,700 salary gap there, Gore, $1,200 less expensive. I just kind of need that salary.
Yep. And Gore's the guy that I'm getting the most of at 48%. So it's such a slim margin. And I think the bats are definitely going to be the thing I rotate around enough. But I mean, out of 200% potential exposure at pitcher, I've got nearly 140% of these 3 pitchers. I'm probably with your line of thinking that if I were to be hand building and I see the same ownership, but then 1,700 less, and I'm able to upgrade some other places, definitely makes sense to go to Chris Sale building on one lineup. I'm playing 40. I'm not playing single entry today either. So it makes it a little bit different how I'm constructing this one, but I definitely like that line of thinking. It's uncomfortable, but no Bryce Harper for the Phillies still. I think there's ways that you can kind of find value, find some leverage stacks to be getting to as well amongst those 3. But definitely with you, I think Wheeler probably just the price tag gonna probably be something that you should be getting away from.
Yeah, and we should bring back for this. This is something we haven't done for a little bit, but it kind of aligns perfectly here. Fuck, marry, kill, but with the 3 options today. Why not? Why not? I've already said that the guy that I'm going to be killing is Zach Wheeler. He's the one I have the least of the 3. Marry for me, that's going to be Chris Sale. I'm like even with the field on Chris Sale.
Okay. And
then I'm having dirty anal sex with Mackenzie Gore for today.
Oh, so, good.
Mackenzie Gore, it's still tough matchups for all 3 of these pitchers. But Gore at least is going to be in a much more favorable pitcher's park in Seattle than what is going to be happening over in Philadelphia. And then also Mackenzie Gore's strikeout stuff this year, outrageous. He is generating so many swing and misses and strikeouts. Let me pull this up so I have it in front of me. But last I looked, his strikeout rate was nearly
36.3%. It's up 12% year over year, 11.5% to be exact.
Massive number. And also, it's not even like it's a fluke. His swinging strike rate is way up compared to previous years as well. His career average swinging strike rate, 12.5%. This year, it's 15.8%. if his swing strike rate was still in line with his career average, I'd just be like, this is going to regress. And not that he necessarily should be expected to have a 40-ish% strikeout rate going forward, but I think it's pretty reasonable to think, based on what we've seen so far this year, that he should be expected for right around a 30% strikeout rate, potentially higher than that by a little bit as well. And then you factor in the good pitchers park in Seattle. Mackenzie Gore is my favorite of these three. So now, Eric, your turn. Fuck, marry, kill. Zach Wheeler, Mackenzie Gore, Chris Sale. You can answer this however you want.
Yeah, I definitely am with you. It's Mackenzie Gore is my favorite of the three, just even at first glance. When you look at the strikeout rate, when you think about how much tread he has on his tires relative to the other two, I think is another part of it. We're only worried about a one-day sample size, but you combine it with the ballpark he's in. He only faces one lefty, JP Crawford. I will say that that's going to neutralize this slider that's brand new for him this season. He only threw it 38 total times last season. He's up to 142 already, but it's a pitch he reserves exclusively for lefties. And he's been striking out lefties at just a ridiculous clip. And so the fact that Seattle decided to just roll out an onslaught of righties is not all that surprising. But within that construction of the lineup, you get some extra strikeouts kind of at your disposal. Cal Raleigh from the right side strikes out more. Randy Arozarena, 29%. Dylan Moore, 27%. Leody Taveras from the right side, 30+%. Ben Williamson, 24.5%. I mean, we're talking a very strikeout prone Seattle lineup. Oh, Donovan Solano, 24.5%. I mean, this is just such a good spot for him to just go fastball changeup, and then set up that curveball. And that curveball is unhittable when he has it on. Like, it's just unhittable. If you watch it live, it's ridiculous. And I don't know any way that he has. I mean, I'm seeing major juice on 7.5 at -130, -140, and I don't even care. I played the alts today up to 10. I think he's just elite beyond elite with this pitch mix.
So there we've got the top three pitchers, and everything else is fairly contrary. You know, Barrios is the most popular guy to save salary with, but still, for a 4-game slate, he's 19% owned. We've got Baz at 13.8%, single-digit ownership on the remaining three pitchers. Do you have any strong take on any of these punt options, somebody you want to be getting to?
So the Sims kind of have me in line with Jose Barrios is kind of the guy to take a shot on. Ryan Gusto is kind of, he's terrible, but I think that there's still some opportunity there going up against a Rays team that will strike out a little bit more than most. They picked up Matt Tice, so that's going to be one fewer strikeout bat. He's been right around 19% on the season, but batting ninth, it's not going to be that big of a concern for me. But Josh Lowe, Brandon Lau, I mean, you get a lot of these dudes who are going to look awesome. I bet a lot of them to homer today, Jonathan Aranda included. But there are strikeouts to be had there. And he's got the best strikeout rate of everybody there at 23.8%. It's just kind of like a feast and famine thing. If I'm going to try to find upside in this mid-range with somebody off the board, I think he's in a spot where, you know, this could go very, very south, but at 6%, 7% with a 24% K rate, there aren't many slates you're going to get that low owned of a pitcher on a short slate, let alone.
Yeah, so if you are going to be punting at pitcher, you're probably not looking for, or you're not assuming this is somebody who's going to outscore Wheeler, Gore, or Sale in all likelihood. No. You're trying to figure out who could reasonably present me some value so that I could pay up for some bats. And if you look at our top two value percentage odds, Jacob Lopez clearly far behind all the other ones. He's the easiest one to take out of the considerations based on the data from the top pitchers tool. Also, just looking at my lamps, I don't have any of them. Not showing up for me. So you got Jacob Lopez, 11.8%, and then slightly higher, but not like in a crazy way. You got 18% here on Baz, so like not something that's mega appealing to me either. So then you got Hancock, Gusto, and Jose Barrios, and I'm landing on Gusto. So you've got a guy here who, like you said, not good, but is generating strikeouts this year. So he's got a 4.58 ERA, 4.49 expected ERA, 4.57 FIP. They're not the worst numbers in the world. They're not all inspiring either, but he's got the 23.8% K rate. He was also at home against a middling Tampa Bay Rays offense. I think that it lines up for him to be somebody to be overweight to the field too. Also, the 6.8% ownership projection on him relative to 19% on Barrios or 14% on Baz, or about 14% on Baz. I don't think there's that much that separates these guys. Gusto's just quite a bit cheaper. He's also lower owned. So I've got a fairly aggressive overweight stance to him. He's in 35% of my lineup. So with him pulling 6% ownership, he is the pitcher I'm most overweight to overall, Eric.
Me as well, 24% of him. So I'm a little bit lower than you are, but I mean, out of 40 lineups, that's still a pretty considerable stand. And Ryan Gusto is one of those guys, you look at like his win probability too, just for Houston relative to like taking a shot on Emerson Hancock, taking a shot on Jacob Lopez. Like, I just think the strikeout stuff, you have to just look at the top three and Wheeler, Gore, Sale. There aren't a lot of times that they're going to get eviscerated or that all three are going to get eviscerated. You basically want to be playing one of them in every single lineup. And so if I'm going to bring in an accessory that's going to get me access to other guys, they better have a strikeout rate that's not comparable, but like something that's up there that I can at least make a case to say, all right, take a shot on him. At 6,400, it's just kind of a price tag that gets you a lot more bats, gets you a different look, and nobody's playing him at 6.8% ownership. So we are seeing that exactly the same way.
And then as far as these other guys, anybody else that you're taking shots on the low end outside of Gusto? Like I do have a couple lineups with Baz, but it's the same as the field. Couple lineups with Barrios, but it's also the same as the field. So to me, it's like I'm overweight to Gore. I'm about even with the field on Sale. I'm underweight to Wheeler. I've got a stand here on Gusto, and then like nothing else too significant to me in my pitcher exposures. How about for yourself, though?
Yeah, the Baz thing's interesting because I think coming into this season, if we just looked at this slate and we didn't have price tags next to names and we just said rank the top pitchers, you would go Wheeler, Sale, Gore, Baz, right? Like you would 100% put Baz as the fourth in that grouping. You wouldn't put him over Barrios or Lopez or Gusto or Hancock. I mean, I don't even know if we would have known who Gusto was at the time, but I think that Shane Baz getting out of Tampa is just a big thing for these pitchers. It's going to be a home road split situation for them, similar to what we've had with pitchers in Coors, similar to what we're going to have with pitchers in Oakland or Sacramento, I suppose it is right now too. Look at his home road splits. I mean, he's got like a 4 ERA for road games. He's like north of 5.3 in his home games so far this season. 1.43 whip at home, 1.30 whip on the road. These aren't good things. What matters more is the strikeout rate. And like, can we get him back to like, north of 24, 25%? Because this was a guy that was mowing everybody down when he jumped into the league. It was mainly as a bullpen arm. So I don't look at 36.7 in 2021 as something that matters, but like he's been somebody who had 25, 26% in years past and had missed all of 2023. It would have been last year. It was a little down, but 22.3% is all right. And you get him out of that damn ballpark that's going to be apocalyptic for Tampa Bay pitchers. I think there's maybe something there, but I feel more comfortable going all the way to the bottom with Gusto for whatever reason.
Yeah, and then related question here as well from Einstein. He wants to know, do we like Gusto as a leverage pitcher against Tampa Bay? And the other part of this too, Tampa Bay is 16.5% owned. The only team on the slate pulling more ownership than them is Toronto. So with that being the case, you're also getting some leverage here. If Gusto happens to pitch decently, you're taking the second most popular stack on the slate out of play here. And I don't know what your lineups look like, Eric, but I'm playing 20 of them tonight. And of my top 20 lineups in the Sims, 0 of them are Tampa Bay stacks. So if that's going to be the case and I'm getting Gusto, like, yeah, there's real clear leverage that I'm seeing here from the Sims to us. So I do think that angle absolutely makes some sense, Einsteinium. Captain wants to know, do I have a preference for how many uniques to set for these small slates? I don't mess around too much with the uniques, especially baseball lineups are just going to be pretty different as is. Like, let's see, if I go to, I feel like if I set this on 3 uniques, it wouldn't even change my exposures at all.
Curious. I'm doing it right now. I mean, the main reason you'd change the uniques is like, if there's like on this shorter slate, if we had like 5 batters that were pulling north of 40% and you wanted to ramp it up, like it's just a way of being able to spread out your lineups a little bit more. I never change it for NBA. I'll change it sometimes. I'll toy around with stuff in NFL depending on the size of the slate. For today, again, what Greg said, I mean, I'm going Philly for a 5-man, Seattle for a 5-man, Philly for a 5-man, Seattle for a 5-man, Philly, Houston, Toronto, Houston, Toronto. So like I'm looking at my top like 12 lineups that I just listed off, and I don't think when you have that many differences of 5 bands that there's going to be any issue having, a spread out pool as is. So I'm not really thinking about it too much at the moment.
Yeah, there's so many lineup combinations for baseball, and there's also not chalk in the same way that there is for NBA, where guys are like, 70, 80% owned on some slates. So the uniques, like if you really want to make sure your lineups are different, you could set it to like 3 or 4, but it's really not going to change your lineups for baseball anyway, considering how many options there are and how diversified the lineups are that come out of the contest generator anyway. Let's see. There was a question here from Clintwood83 as well. He says, with a slate like this, what type of strategy do we think we like to get different for a DraftKings single entry? So for me, it is stacking against one of the really popular pitchers, and then you play the other two in that lineup. So think of it this way. If you were to build a lineup, I meant to click on the top pitchers tool, but if you're to build a lineup with a stack against any of the top 3 pitchers, and that lineup happens to go off, it doesn't look like there's going to be a consensus top 2 pitchers for the purposes of single entry. Like, I guess just based on ownership, maybe leans a little bit towards Sale and Gore. They might be a little bit more popular, but even with that said, I don't think we're going to see like Wheeler go unowned or anything like that. It'll just be slightly lesser owned than the 2. But if you happen to hit on a top stack against one of these chalky pitchers, and then the other 2 pitchers are just kind of what we're expecting them to be, you've got a pretty good path to success to be at the top of a GPP. So I'd say whichever is your least favorite of Sale, Gore, and Wheeler, stack against him, and then play the other 2 in single entry. So I am not playing single entry today. I'm just playing 20 lineups in larger field contests, but I am getting to the most of the Atlanta Braves as a stack compared to these other pitchers. I am going to rerun this just because we had a projection and ownership update. So, want to make sure I have the most recent data in here. But for me, I would say stack against one of these popular pitchers, roster the other 2. How about yourself?
I'm probably with you. As I was listing off before, I think I was getting to more of the Philly side. I do think in single entry, what you said about Chris Sale being cheaper and potentially pulling the more ownership. I mean, we just did get that ownership update. He is now the most popular guy out of everybody, 55%. He was before, but like it's a little bit more pronounced with Zach Wheeler at 41 and change. So it's gotten a little bit wider. And I think that makes sense in single entry that you might see Chris Sale, because he's cheaper, exponentially more popular. You might see him north of the 60% number, in which case, give me Gore and Wheeler for sure in single entry. But it's hard to know right here at the flip. I think they're all bunched. I'd probably be with you where I would go towards the Atlanta side. That's kind of the way that I was thinking coming into this show. And then I kind of fell out of it. And I'm glad that you kind of righted the ship on it a little bit. I'd probably be playing single entry pretty close to how I'm playing my 40 lineups today as well. Like, I do like the idea of getting to a little bit more of the Sale Gore side, playing Atlanta bats, probably just leaving it at that, but nothing really else to add to what you said.
And then we'll also take a look at the FanDuel side of pitching. I did see we got the super chat from Sotex. It was related to FanDuel, so I just figured that we'll group all this in together. We can only roster one of these pitchers over on FanDuel, Eric. We've got Sale 36% owned, Gore 30% owned, Wheeler 27.24. So once again, Sale a little bit more popular, but we're splitting hairs. These are the only 3 pitchers pulling really any ownership over on FanDuel. If you're playing one FanDuel lineup, who would be the pitcher you're playing in that lineup?
Man, I've been thinking about that like I was going to play like one lineup over on FanDuel just for the hell of it, and then I decided not to. I think it would be Mackenzie Gore. He's the lowest owned of the 3 at the moment.
Wheeler.
Well, I just refreshed it on FanDuel. No, Wheeler's the most popular of the 3. I said the least popular of the 3. Did that change? Oh, it did change. There you go. Okay. God, I just updated it here on my end. I apologize. I was updating my DK stuff and carrying it over. I think it's Mackenzie Gore for me still. He's 600 cheaper than Zach Wheeler. His K prop at 7.5 is ridiculous. However, the outs prop is probably something that comes more into play here on FanDuel. As you're looking at the marketplace, I think it was at 15.5 earlier today on Mackenzie Gore. Quality start definitely matters. And I find it very impossible to believe that one of the three is not going to get there. That would be like a huge outlier to potentially not have Wheeler, who's got an 18.5 prop, Chris Sale's at 18.5, given it's, plus 150 on the over on DK. And then you go down here to Mackenzie Gore, now sitting at 17.5 with quite a bit of juice on the over there. I think it would be Mackenzie Gore for me. I think he's my favorite.
Yeah, it is Gore for myself as well. I mean, we already did the fuck, marry, kill game, and I didn't specify exactly what we're gonna do. It could have just been some hand stuff or something like that. Work our way up. But
you said anal. Let's play the tape back.
Yeah, but I mean more than that. I'm not a prude. Mackenzie Gore is my guy anyway. He could take that whatever way you want. So could he. Mackenzie Gore, that is going to be my GPP top pitching option over on FanDuel. Cash games, I think, is so difficult to pick one. I just go Chris Sale and let the ownership dictate it.
Probably Chris Sale.
Any of the really low-owned guys that you have interest in for FanDuel purposes? Because every pitcher who is not Sale, Gore, or Wheeler is sub 4% owned.
Yeah, it's really, really gross once you get further down the board. Gusto is over 15.5 is plus 170 at NoVig right now. Just throwing it out there. They do not expect him to make it 6 innings is the way that we'll put that. I think this is probably the shot to fire up Shane Baz. So whereas I wasn't as interested over on DK, I think FanDuel, I'm just looking at the prop market, 17.5 over is minus 125 at DK best available. That's a pretty good situation to walk into. I don't think he's going to go have some massive strikeout upside, but potential lineup for the win. I think, Gusto is very exploitable, and just considering that outs prop, I think that there's something to be said about Shane Baz being rolled out in a couple of lineups, but with these three quality of pitchers, it's really, really, really hard to make a case for somebody who isn't Wheeler, Sale. Somebody's going to have a ridiculous ceiling out of these three tonight.
Yeah, that's how I see it as well. I agree with you, though, also that if I had to play one of the low-owned guys, I'd be more apt to go to Baz over on FanDuel, mostly because he could potentially make it through 6 innings, where I just don't think that's a realistic possibility for the other pitchers. Lopez converted from reliever to a starter. I know he did get stretched out in his last start and ended up looking pretty good in the extended innings. We'll see how that looks with him now having to make his second start and how that is going to look. Tend to think it's not going to be all that great. That's also the way that the betting market is looking at him. We got the implied team total going up against him is 5 runs, by far the highest on the entire slate, the highest by half a run there. And then Hancock, no. Gusto, just not going to pitch deep enough into the game for me. So yeah, real preference is to play Gore, one of the other top guys. But if I had to play one of the lower owned pitchers, then it would be Shane Baz for me.
This made me laugh. That's all.
And Sotex wants to know, for the FanDuel after hours slate, who is the best pitcher for single entry? All right, let's
Mackenzie Gore by a lot. This would be the stack against Mackenzie Gore slate. I think this is probably the slate where I'd be comfortable doing that.
I'm just trying to figure out which games are included in the after hours.
So DK after hours.
No, FanDuel.
Oh, FanDuel after hours. FanDuel late night, come home. No idea.
Yeah, I can't even find that in the lobby.
She left me roses by the stairs.
Right, so assuming
Houston, Washington, Seattle, for what it's worth.
All right. Yeah, so I'm going to say Gore. I mean, if he's my favorite GPP pitcher on the main slate, and then we're taking out the two actual, the only two other comparable ones to him, it just becomes Gore by default. So Mackenzie Gore for me. Any final thoughts at pitchers before we go over to stacks?
Somebody wanted to post about Jacob Lopez having like an 11K per night. Guess what? Jacob Lopez was a bullpen arm. He was pitching out of the bullpen. He got sent back to go work on stuff and build up at AAA. I don't know what to tell you other than he's facing Toronto. There's like no strikeout upside against Toronto. Yesterday's lineup was the most ridiculous lineup that they could have rolled out with Varsho and Santander 1-2, no Bo Bichette. And I had Tyler Mahle under 4.5 Ks, and I knew I was just going to get ridiculously hooked. He has 2 strikeouts in the 6th to go over by the hook. It was so annoying. But now you're back to just a normal Toronto lineup, and I have zero desire to try to make anything named Jacob Lopez work on this slate.
I also had that same bet yesterday. So it was suboptimal the way that one ended up going. Got a lot of CLV on it, which sometimes matters, sometimes doesn't end up mattering.
Yeah, but why did they put Varsho lead off? As soon as I saw Varsho Santander, that's the first time they've done that all year. And it's just like, oh, cool. Put the 2 guys with 30% strikeout rates right at the top of the lineup to fuck us over. And three swinging strikes on for Varsho to really bury that one. Really appreciate him. Ugh.
Let's look at some stacks. Also, if you guys haven't done it yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're looking to play some baseball bets this year, well, or bet on other sports as well, but baseball in swing right now, check out Portfolio EV. We also got WNBA underway. Those are the 2 sports that are producing the most volume on the board right now. There's still NBA bets as well, but obviously at most you're getting 1 NBA game today. Tomorrow there's 0 NBA games, but no worries. Plenty of baseball bets, plenty of WNBA bets in the Portfolio EV tools, and you could get access to these for free for your first 7 days, and no risk to you at all. Even if you just want to check out the tools, maybe you don't even want to place a bet. You probably should, but maybe you just want to see what they're all about. No reason not to take advantage of a totally free offer here for Portfolio EV. Let's check it out. Link is down below in the YouTube description box. Stack time here, Eric. And as always, where I like to start here is by asking you, if you were just playing one lineup in a single entry, what team would you be stacking in that one lineup?
Going to be Atlanta today. Atlanta would be my one single entry stack.
Well, let's see. Now that I've got everything updated, who would it be for me? Yeah, would it be... Yeah, I think it's Atlanta for me. Just trying to work through my pitcher exposures and what changed in the most recent update. Did have like a little bit of a shuffling of exposures, but nothing that's like too insane. Did get to a little bit of Emerson Hancock now. Don't say I feel.
Yeah,
totally
I just had that come through too. He was in my top projected. Wouldn't want to roll that one out, I don't think. That makes me uncomfortable. But hey, the math is better than I am at eyeballing it. It's just I can't imagine wanting to play Emerson Hancock against Washington today. I think he has the highest home run per 9 on the entire slate. I think he's like your send it home Jerome guy. Yeah, 1.83 home runs per 9. He has a 352 BABIP. Like, that's not going to continue for what it's worth, but 18.2% home run to fly ball ratio. Gives up 5 fly balls today. One of them leaves the yard. That seems bad, Greg. That seems like something that you'd want to stack against rather than bet on being good. But it's a great ballpark. Outside of Abrams, I did bet Nate Lowe, so I guess I can't talk too much shit about him. James Wood has just been a god, 22 years of age. Come on, man. But outside of like those top 3 specifically, I think it's somewhat gettable. And I don't completely hate the idea of trying to take that shot, but I'd much rather do that in large field than in single entry.
Yeah, I mean, just looking through my lineups, it's like I had none of him before. Now I have 15%. I guess it's not the end of the world if I went from over 30% of Gusto down to 25%. Some of the went to Emerson Hancock. Whatever. I'm not gonna change it to it's still what I'd said at the top still remains true in terms of Gusto being my favorite contrarian pitcher, but sure, I guess not the end of the world that a couple of Gusto lineups went away for me. They turned in Emerson Hancock lineups that'll have my lineups a little bit more balanced out on pitchers who it's not like I have the utmost trust in anyway. But yeah, as far as stack exposures go, if I am looking to get some leverage, be a little bit different in single entry, Atlanta, that is going to be the spot that I look to go to. And yeah, you can make a case really for any of the really low owned stacks like we talked about before. You could go to Seattle, Philly, or Atlanta. I would be choosing between one of those three for myself, but I'll lean towards Atlanta being the team that I want to be getting to for single entry if I was just playing the one single entry lineup for today. Outside of single entry, if we're talking large field, do you have a differing opinion on who your overall favorite pitcher is to be getting to?
Our favorite stack to be getting to. But stack, yeah, Tampa Bay. I love getting to Tampa Bay against Gusto. So we just got done talking about all the reasons that we should try to fire him up. The one being just strikeout rate. Let's stack against him here too, because he is going to continue to just get pummeled by lefties. And this is a great ballpark if you have a problem with lefty power, but like, this is no doubt power with Brandon Lau, with Jonathan Aranda, and then guys like Josh Lowe, Chandler Simpson. Kind of weird to see him batting sixth, but 302 expected batting average, never strikes out, just pesky. And we know his stolen base upside as well. It's such a bad pitcher. And I just keep looking at the fact that he's given up 6 homers and like 77 batters faced to lefties. That's a pretty good clip to go up against. 1.89 whip against lefties as well. He gives up base runners, then he gives up power to them. There's a lot of power to be found from the left side for Tampa. And then the righties aren't just terrible by any means. Yandy Diaz, Junior Caminero is starting to come on. Jose Caballero is all right. Like, this is a Tampa Bay team that I think is definitely my favorite overall, but we also have to consider what we've got as far as leverage, and leverage is definitely a thing in MLB DFS.
Yeah, so I'm just not really getting to Tampa Bay. Primary issue is just the ownership going there. We have them as the second most popular team on the slate. With that said, I do like the Toronto Blue Jays a pretty decent amount, and they're also popular. So between the two, I get more of Toronto as a chalk stack than I get of Tampa Bay. But the team that I like the most relative to their ownership, it is the Athletics, formerly the Oakland Athletics, now in Sacramento, though not called the Sacramento Athletics, just the Athletics. I've got them in a good chunk of lineups going up against Jose Barrios, also a team that's pretty positively leveraged in the top stacks tool with just under 12% projected ownership, a 13.4% chance to be the top scoring team. So we do have, as the teams with the overall best leverage, the Athletics as well as the Houston Astros. And between the two of them, I'm landing on a little bit more of the Athletics. I like their matchup against Barrios a little bit more than Houston's matchup against Shane Baz there. So Athletics for me, Eric, is that a team that you are finding yourself getting exposure to? I know that you're kind of predisposed to not liking Jose Barrios.
Yeah, because he's a bitch. Yeah, we're definitely going to get some Athletics. Like myself getting some Athletics in my life. No problem whatsoever firing that up against Barrios. I will say that it seems as though I have a lot of 2 and 3 mans that are going to be coming from the Athletic side, not full stacking them here as much. I mean, we get kind of this construction now with Soderstrom sent to the outfield a little while ago, and now we get this Davidson fellow. Like, you're basically playing Rooker. You want to play Soderstrom. You want to play Butler. You want to play Wilson. Just feels like, I don't know. It's such a cut and dry. There's no multi-positional player on the entire lineup. I think that's kind of annoying. I hate that when you don't get multiple places to push a person and then kind of like having different constructions with those same players. Like, your 5-mans with the Athletics are going to look just like everybody else's 5-mans for the Athletics. That's the worst. So I'm definitely going to be playing them, but definitely more of the 2 and 3-man side of things.
Okay. And then are there any teams you're finding yourself that you're getting underweight to the field to?
Yeah, I'm not really playing Houston. Shane Baz, I'm not really sure why I'm not getting to any Houston at the moment, but is what it is. I'm not really getting a ton of Philly. That one makes more sense going up against Chris Sale. I do think Schwarber has a chance to be underowned. He leads the league in lefty home runs, which is insane. Like, left on left, he leads the league in home runs to any pitcher from the left side. That's just crazy to me because, well, he's a god. But also Seattle, a team I'm not really getting to against Mackenzie Gore as much. I had it in the last run of the Sims. I had quite a bit of Seattle. I listed off everything there. This last run, not as much. So Houston, definitely going to be undercutting there, a little bit too popular for me, even though we have positive leverage in the top stacks tool. And then Philadelphia, if they end up winning the slate, I will be losing. So that's good to know.
Yeah, so I mean they're very low owned though relative to other teams. They're the lowest owned team on the slate, 8.5%. I'm right in line with the field. I've got Of my 20 lineups, I'm playing 2 of them are Philly stacks. So I'm, 10% right there in line with the field.
Yeah.
For myself, not getting to Washington stacks against Emerson Hancock, Eric. So this is a team that we have as being pretty negatively leveraged in the tools here. We actually have the most negatively leveraged on 3 teams. It's funny. One of them is the Philadelphia Phillies, despite only being 8.5% on the lowest owned team on the slate. We still have that as being an over-owned mark. We've got Washington also over-owned, 14% ownership, 11.8% chance to be a top scoring team. And then we've got Tampa Bay over-owned as well, with the second most ownership on the slate going to them and a 15% chance being a top stack. So I don't have any 5-man stacks of Washington in my 20 lineups. So part of that is going to be related to the ballpark with them playing in Seattle. It's also not that I had a lot of them before. I think I had 5 or 10% or something like that before the latest update. So probably part of the reason that I now have, 15% of Emerson Hancock when I had none of them before. It's probably related to also how I landed on none of Washington when I had a couple of stacks of them. So those are the 3 teams that I'm underweight to the field too, Eric. The one that obviously I'm most nervous about is Tampa Bay because Gusto is no good. They're also super popular, but that ownership it's very high. It's a lot for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, it's nice this morning. My 4 home run plays are 2 from Tampa, 2 from Washington. I felt like I identified the best spots at the prices, but from a DFS perspective, you brought up the ballpark. I think that's kind of a concern for both teams. Like, there's a reason that you're getting better than plus 600, or I got it on Aranda because we sniped some good numbers. Somebody posted like $400 on Aranda. I'm like, I'm going to take him better than plus 600. Like, that seems ridiculous. And then the other one, Josh Lowe, somebody that I thought just was a little bit underappreciated there. Nate Lowe, another guy that I bet, and rounding it all out, CJ Abrams. Lefty power plays a little bit better in Seattle than what righty power does. You're seeing a huge difference in Cal Raleigh home run numbers. There's a very good reason for that. But I still am with you where I think from a DFS perspective, I'm going to play Tampa Bay, but Washington is the uncomfortable fade. It is definitely an uncomfortable fade, especially coming off of a 9 spot yesterday to cover the over by themselves.
Well, only a few minutes left to go in the show, which means it is time for dongs. Guys, we're going to give out our favorite home run picks. Also, want to know from you guys in chat who you are picking to go yard today. We also have the top batters tool over at Stokastic, which has percentage odds for each individual hitter's 2 homer. And if you guys do want to get access to all the data and tools, player projections, ownership projections, sims over at Stokastic, link to sign up is down below in the YouTube description box. Eric, who are you picking to go yard today?
Yeah, I'm not going to take any of those 4 that I just mentioned there because obviously they are all guys that I want to be getting to from a betting perspective. But from a DFS perspective, there is no doubt that I am an Atlanta Braves fan today. And he got the morning off. Hopefully, he can just kind of keep doing what he's been doing since he got back in that old lineup. Ronald Acuna, 15% ownership going up against Zach Wheeler. Let's party young Ronald right from the get-go. 6K. Not the easiest to be reaching up to there, but speed, power, everything that you want out of a baseball player. Atlanta's lineup looks a lot better with him in it. Ronald goes yard.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised he's playing tonight as well, just because they had left him out of the lineup for the first game, and they said it was because they wanted to limit him to just 1 game of the doubleheader. And what happens? He pinch hits in the middle of the game, and then all of a sudden he's playing again. So once he came in as a pinch hitter, I thought there was a chance he wasn't going to play today, but there he is. He's in the lineup again. I am going to be going with Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who I've also found myself betting to homer quite a bit over the course of the last couple of weeks here. From chat, we've got Butler from Pierre, Alec Boehm from Steve Sand, Caminero from Tripp. We've got Castellanos from Brady as well as from Malukar. We've got Brandon Lau, I assume, from EMAC there. I don't know whether it's
cheating. He's trying to get all 3 because he's a jerk. That's what he's doing.
I'm just assigning one of them to him. I'm saying he picked Brandon Lau, but
okay, there you go. The most likely of the 3. There you go. That was nice of you.
So it's hard to say. Patrick Maduke has got James Wood for 2 homers. Kyle Schwarber from Junior Whopper. Ken Ratty says someone called Ellie De La Cruz's 2-homer game yesterday. All right. G Joyner's got James Wood. Barnaby O'Toole also is James Wood. Matty Ice is Kyle Schwarber. Ryan Stubbs said somebody called De La Cruz's 2-home run day in here. Okay. All right. This is big news in the chat. This is big news in the chat. Sotek's going with Jeremy Pena. Binking is also going with James Woods. We got Slim 360720. All right, so he's got his Slim and then his social security number. He's going with Jeremy Pena. Chad Wiseman has got Alejandro Kirk. We've got Green Checkmark going with Alec Boehm. Ryan Stubbs going with J-Rod. We got Morningwood Blues going with Isaac Paredes. Rooster Slinky also going Nick Castellanos. Trevor Cheeks has got CJ Abrams. Anthony's got Kirk. Ken Ratty has got Kyle Schwarber. And then Patrick Maduke says, that was me. He was the one who called the LA De La Cruz homers. And that brings us to lock, guys. Thank you all very much for watching. Josh is going to be doing NBA Live before lock in a little bit less than an hour. So go check that out as well, guys. Good luck. Have a good night. We'll see you back here tomorrow.